I'm noticing a lot of people are leaving Islam for Christianity, and the common denominator is God's love, which is absent in Islam. Look at this.
I was born in Canada, but when I was 3 years old, my parents moved back to Europe, Macedonia. So my parents are Albanian. I was the eldest of 5 children. Growing up as a child, there was certainly physical, emotional, and other abuses that I don't wish to go into in details at this point. I always felt unloved, unwanted. I was put down a lot for being a girl. I remember crying. There were times I would cry myself to sleep, and I would cry for hours, hide in the barn and cry and ask Allah, why did you make me a girl if I'm not wanted, if I'm not loved? When I turned 16, I came back to Canada. They arranged my marriage shortly after to an Albanian Muslim man who controlled my destiny pretty much for the next 8 years. He seemed to use religion basically to get away with all the cheating. Muhammad permitted men to beat their women. Muhammad had multiple wives. If I want, you're lucky you're just the one. I can marry more. He would tell me this all the time. And I thought he was crazy. I'd never read the sources, and I thought he was just making this stuff up. I left them, actually, when I saw it started affecting my daughters. I became very independent. I went back to school. I got my nursing degree. I raised my daughters by myself. I have everything. I'm still not happy. I'm still sad. I hit a low that I didn't know existed. The voices in my head constantly played like a tape recorder. You're not loved. No one loves you. Your ex-husband didn't love you. Your parents didn't love you. And I just could not shut it off. It was painful. I remember feeling so much pain in my chest that I couldn't even sleep. Most nights on my bed, I would just cry myself to sleep on the floor because I felt like I was suffocating. It was one of those nights that I came face to face with the living Jesus. In this dream, I was hearing terrifying voices, like terror, like people were being murdered. I looked over this balcony and I observed this dark pit. And no sooner that thought crossed my mind, I looked to my right and there was a figure, a beautiful figure that I thought was Jesus. He knew my thoughts. He said, would you like me to hug you? And then you will know it. I agreed to allow him to hug me. And when he did, brother, he wrapped his arms around me. And it was like my entire body was filled with pure love. Love that I have no words to describe because that love does not exist. No human can give you that love. Even my fingernails felt love. And all I could do was beg him to not let me go. I realized at that moment that he was everything I had wanted. I was healed of depression. I just felt peace and joy. I suddenly went from doubting, questioning, to knowing what was in front of me was the living God. Surrender your life to Jesus. You will not regret it.
The spirits that give people anxiety, depression, suicide even, these are demons that want us to ultimately destroy us, and for us to destroy ourselves through means of suicide. In the beginning of Islam, we see the Prophet Muhammad taken hold of aggressively, violently by this spirit that whom he thought he was so demon-possessed he wanted to jump off of a cliff, end his own life. These are not godly, loving. It's not. It's quite the opposite, to be honest with you. And this sister here was falling, I would say, heads first into despair itself, especially after the failed marriage with a Muslim man who, in her own words, beat her, was only just a side piece when God made us to be with one woman, in my case with her, with one man, not to have multiple sexual partners or wives. Deuteronomy itself talks about, you shall not collect for yourselves wives, lest you turn away from me. But in Islam, you're taught that you can have up to 4 wives. So you have one God in Deuteronomy saying, do not collect for yourselves multiple wives, for I intended you to only be with one woman. Whereas Allah in the Quran, Satan, is saying you can have up to 4 wives, and you can beat them if you wish. The love of God is absent in Islam, and as a result, this woman fell into despair. But it was only through the love of Jesus that she was able to recover, to be relinquished of those spirits of anxiety, depression, Lord forbid suicide, but it's entirely possible she had that spirit within her as well. Because Satan does not want us to be happy. Satan wants us to be so miserable that we want to destroy ourselves, so that way he ultimately wins over us. But Jesus had a supernatural encounter with this woman, as he did with me, and our lives have never been the same, and it's been for the better. I'm very happy for my sister in Christ here, and the reason I make these videos is so other people can come to grips with the lack of love that is in Islam, and how much love there is in the true God, Yahweh. I don't think you can stop either one of us from lying, because both of us are just speaking from the heart. 1 John chapter 4 verse 8 says, God is love. There is no love in Islam. There's only love in the true God, Yahweh.